Hello, dear sleepy listener. Wherever you are, on a pillow by the window, wrapped in the hush of evening, or simply resting in the soft cradle of night, welcome. Tonight we drift into something small, something fleeting, something you've done 1,000 times without ever noticing. You blink, and something disappears. But where does it go before you drift off to sleep peacefully? Take a moment to like this video, leave a gentle comment about your favourite science moment, and subscribe to continue receiving these bedtime stories. And if you feel called to share, tell us your time zone and where in the world you're listening from tonight. Now, turn off the lights, get comfortable, and let your curiosity drift among the stars. It happens in less than 1/3 of a second. You blink, the eyelids close, the world disappears, and then it comes back just as you left it. You hardly notice the interruption, but your brain does, your vision does, and time, well, time slips sideways, quietly, almost politely, around the blink. It doesn't ask for permission, it doesn't slow down. But something in that flicker, something in that pause feels like a small secret, as if for a fraction of a second, the universe sighs, and in that sigh, you are nowhere and everywhere. Close your eyes for a moment now, a little longer than a blink. Let your shoulders drop. Let the breath find you. You don't need to do anything. Just notice the pause. Notice how the world continues without you. And yet, you never really left it. Every time you blink, you lose about 300 or 400 milliseconds of visual data. But your brain is clever. It smooths the moment over. It fills in the gap. It gives you the illusion of continuity, like a magician tucking a card back into the deck so fluidly you don't realize it's gone. That moment you missed it still happened. Time didn't stop for you, but somehow your awareness stepped aside, like a curtain drawn gently for a scene change. And when it opens again, the show continues as if nothing ever shifted. You don't have to remember the numbers. Just rest in the idea that the world has been stitching itself seamlessly around your absence this whole time, as if it knows how to wait for you, as if it always has. Some scientists call it blink suppression, a process where your brain pauses the flow of visual information, anticipates what's coming, and pastes the moment back together before you even know it blinked. Others say it's part of our survival. That evolution didn't want us to feel disoriented every time our eyes took a break. But others ask a quieter question. What if the blink isn't just a break in sight? What if it's a break in time? A mini pocket where consciousness folds itself, briefly, into silence. Breathe in now, gently. Let the breath feel like a blink, a soft in-between, and exhale just as softly, as if time itself is breathing with you. You don't need to see what's happening around you. You're already inside the moment that holds everything. You blink about 15 to 20 times a minute, which means you spend nearly 10% of your waking life not seeing, and yet, you never feel blind. You never feel like time has skipped. So where does that time go? It's not erased. It's not paused. It's smoothed, folded into the rhythm of experience, like the silent beat between notes in a lullaby. It's the space that gives the song its breath. Maybe your life is made of these folds, tiny disappearances that your mind learns to paint over, tiny absences where presence rests, tiny moments where you leave the world and return as if nothing changed but everything softened. There's something beautiful about that, something oddly comforting. The idea that you can disappear hundreds of times a day and the world forgives it. That time continues without blame, without grief. It simply flows around you, like a stream around a stone or a breeze through curtains. And when you return, you're still part of it, unchanged, and yet just slightly refreshed. Let your eyelids soften now. Even if you're still awake, let them hover. Let them drift downward without command. You don't need to fall asleep. You're already in the space between the world and the mind that sees it. And in that space, time doesn't tick. It lingers. It hums. It curls into itself like a cat in the sun. Some scientists still wonder why we don't perceive the loss, why we don't notice the blink for what it is, a disappearance. And some philosophers ask a deeper question. What if we don't just lose sight when we blink? What if we lose self, just for a heartbeat, just for a breath, just long enough for the world to reintroduce itself when our eyes open again? And maybe, just maybe that's why blinking feels good, because it's a return, a coming home, a reminder that you are here again. And the moment this soft, trembling now waited for you. The blink is over, but something lingers, not the vision you regained, not the moment you missed, but the rhythm that underlies both. A steady pulse, not loud, not mechanical, something quieter than ticking, something living, your breath. Let it guide you now. Let it come naturally. There is no need to control it. Just let it rise as time rises and fall as thought falls. You don't have to try. You don't have to know how. You've been breathing since before memory. And in that breath is a rhythm older than any clock, older than language, older, perhaps, than time itself as we understand it. Inside you, your body keeps time, not in seconds, not in hours, but in pulses, in cycles, in patterns so ancient they seem effortless. Your heart beats steadily, softly. It doesn't mark time, it lives it. Your lungs expand not because they were told to, but because the body listens to rhythms deeper than thought. You blink, you breathe, you beat. These are not interruptions. They are time's original language. The universe moves in spirals, and you, little galaxy of cells, are no different. Take another breath now, slower this time. Let it fill your chest not with effort, but with ease. You don't have to chase the breath, it's already meeting you. And when you exhale, feel how the moment expands, as if time, too, is exhaling with you, stretching itself just a little wider to hold you. Science has a name for the body's inner rhythm. It's called the circadian clock, a 24-hour cycle that governs sleep and wakefulness, hunger and temperature, hormones and mood. But beneath the rising sun and the dimming blue, there are clocks within clocks. Your cells tick too, tiny oscillators made of proteins and ions, measuring time not in minutes, but in chemical pulses. Even your neurons fire in waves, in silence and surge. The body doesn't just experience time, it creates it. And yet you never hear it. You never feel the ticking, because it's not mechanical, it's breath, it's heartbeat, it's hunger, it's sleep. It's a rhythm you don't remember learning, because you were born inside it, and you never left. Close your eyes for a moment. There's no need to drift into sleep, but if you do, let it come gently. You don't need to stay awake to understand the clock within you. It keeps ticking whether you watch it or not. And unlike the clocks on your wall, it does not measure delay. It does not keep appointments. It does not mind if you forget the time, because it is not counting. It is pulsing. Some scientists study this inner clock not with gears and numbers but with light, because the body listens to light. It knows when it's morning before you open your eyes. It knows when it's night before the sky goes dark. There are receptors behind your eyes that don't see images. They see brightness, and brightness to the body means time. So when you blink, you interrupt light, and in that flicker, the body briefly wonders, is it time to shift, to wake, to sleep, to rest? It's not a question you answer. It's one your body asks and answers all on its own. Let that thought rest now. You don't need to carry it. Just know that your body has always been listening, even before the first clock tower, even before the sundial, even before you knew what time was. Your body knew. It still knows. There's a charm in knowing that time isn't just a number, it's a feeling. You know the difference between morning and evening, not by checking a device, but by how your bones settle, by the weight of your eyelids, by the way your breath changes as the day unfolds. Some mysteries remain. Scientists don't know why circadian clocks exist in almost every creature. Even some bacteria seem to follow time, as if rhythm isn't something we invented, but something we remembered, as if time is something the universe whispered into our cells long before we had names for it, and every breath you take tonight is an echo of that whisper. So now, just rest. Let your breath guide the moment. Let your body keep the time. You don't need to watch the clock. The clock is already watching over you. The blink has passed, the breath has quieted, but the second, it still lingers. A single second, one unit of time, so small you hardly notice it, and yet within that second the universe has moved, not in great leaps, not in centuries, but in delicate bursts, microscopic flickers, ripples too small to see but too numerous to count. Close your eyes for a moment now, not because you need sleep, but because you're about to enter something so small and so vast that only silence can carry you there. Let your breath soften, let your jaw loosen. You don't need to follow the words, just let them brush past you like dust in the sunlight. 1 second, measured, counted, defined, but not felt in the way we feel longer things, a hug, a minute, a memory. And yet, in that 1 second, your heart pulses once, or maybe not quite. A hummingbird beats its wings about 50 times. The Earth moves 30 kilometers through space, and your brain, quietly, might fire more than 1 billion signals between its neurons. 1 second, and already you've lived a small lifetime of change. So where does the second go? It doesn't disappear. It unfolds. It expands across atoms, across thought, across starlight, and then it's gone. Not because it ran away, but because something else arrived the next one, and you are always between them. Let your breath move like that now. One gentle rise, one softer fall, each breath a second stretching just a little longer than the last. You don't need to measure it. Your body already knows how long a moment should last. In physics, a second is defined as the time it takes for a specific atom cesium-133 to vibrate 9,192, 6 to 31, 770 times. That's not poetry. That's precision. And yet, inside that precision is something poetic. The idea that time is measured not by clocks, but by movement, by rhythm, by repetition, by the steady dance of the invisible. Imagine that now. You're no longer floating in thought. You're shrinking, slipping into the folds of matter, smaller than molecules, smaller than atoms. You're inside the cesium atom, You watch it vibrate, like a string on an ancient instrument, plucked by the universe itself. You can't hear the note, but it plays again and again, and with each pulse, another moment appears. But why this number? Why these vibrations? Why is the second what it is? No one truly knows. We define it this way because it's consistent, reliable. But why the universe vibrates at this pace, that remains a mystery. Some scientists wonder if time, as we define it, is just one interpretation of deeper, more ancient rhythms. Rhythms we haven't yet noticed. Rhythms that whisper in quarks and gravity and things we haven't yet named. Let your thoughts fall into that silence. You don't need to know what a quark is. You don't need to understand cesium. You only need to imagine that in the space between one breath and the next, the very fabric of the cosmos trembles with motion. Not noise, not chaos, just rhythm. A cosmic heartbeat invisible to the eye but constant as sleep. And what about you? In that 1 second, your eyes may blink, your thoughts may shift. You may forget what you were just thinking, or you may remember something you didn't know you'd forgotten. And all of that can happen between the moment you close your eyes and the moment you open them again. So perhaps you don't lose time when you blink. Perhaps you pass through it. Perhaps it stretches like a soft hallway between awareness. And the second it's not missing, it's everywhere. You don't have to hold that thought. Just let it be light. Let it be background. Like the stars you don't look for but always know are there. They say a second is brief. But if you zoom in close enough, it contains everything. Photons moving, atoms spinning, waves rising, hearts beating, words forming, memories blooming. A second is not small. It is dense. It is full. And you live inside it as if it were endless, because maybe it is. Now rest. Let go of the need to track time. The clocks will do that for you. The universe will keep count. You're here to feel it, to drift inside it, to blink and trust that something beautiful is happening while your eyes are closed. You're drifting now, not through space, but through thought. And not the kind you control, not words, not reasoning, but the softer kind, the quiet kind, the kind that happens without you ever knowing it did. The blink has passed again. Your eyes opened and closed, and the world rearranged itself without complaint. But something happened in between. Something inside you, beneath awareness, beneath attention, a flicker, a pause, a breath. Let your breath be easy now. You don't have to guide it. Just follow it like a child follows fireflies with curiosity, not command. You're not thinking now. You're simply allowing thought to think itself. And somewhere inside that, your neurons are doing the same. There are about 86 billion neurons in your brain, each one a tiny living thread, vibrating with possibility, and they don't wait for your attention. They don't need permission. They fire. They spark. They hum like stars buried in the fabric of your skull. Some fire for movement, some for memory, some for emotion, some just because that's what they do. And every blink is like a curtain call, a brief silence between two flashes of neural light. Your brain doesn't stop during a blink, but it shifts, reorients, rests, ever so slightly. There's a term in neuroscience, blink-associated resetting. It's the idea that when your eyes close for a moment, your brain recalibrates. Not just vision, but attention, expectation, orientation. as if blinking isn't just resting your eyes but resetting yourself. Let your shoulders relax. There's nothing to track here, no steps to follow, just a gentle unravelling. You are not learning. You are remembering how to be quiet inside your own thought. When you blink, you interrupt the visual field, and your brain responds not with confusion, but with anticipation. It guesses what it missed. It fills in the gap. This isn't a glitch. It's a feature, a design older than language. Because if your brain had to start from scratch every time your eyes closed, you'd feel dizzy all day. Instead, it bridges the gap, like stepping stones across a stream that vanishes for only a breath. Some researchers believe this momentary pause is similar to what happens during microsleeps, those tiny, unnoticeable lapses in awareness that happen when we're tired. Except blinking is chosen. Microsleep is not. But both are reminders that consciousness is not continuous. It flows, it pulses, it blinks. And in those blinks, you're not gone. You're simply reorganizing. Imagine now that you are shrinking inward, smaller than your thoughts, smaller than your cells. You arrive at a neuron. It looks like a tree made of light, branches of electricity, roots of memory. It waits for a signal, and then, without warning, it fires. A flash, a surge, a ripple of meaning through the mind. But what was the thought? What was the message? No one knows exactly, not even the neuron. It doesn't need to know. It just connects, just responds, just lives. Let that image linger. You don't need to imagine every detail. Just know that inside you, countless flashes happen each second, and when you blink, some of them pause, or soften, or change their rhythm. You don't lose time when you blink. You shift time. You give your mind a half second to listen to itself. There's still mystery here. Scientists don't fully understand why blinking feels so seamless. They don't know why we can blink in conversation and still keep track of words, why we can blink in danger and still react in time. There are theories, models, guesses. But the truth is quieter. It may be that blinking is the mind's way of learning how not to overload, a silent surrender to slowness, a momentary permission to not process everything. Take a long, slow breath, as if you too are resetting, not erasing, not rewinding, just gently realigning with presence. You blink, and maybe the world waits, or maybe it continues. But either way, your mind comes back just a little clearer, not because it slept, but because it rested. And rest is not the absence of thought. It's the rhythm that makes thought possible. So blink now, if you want, or let your eyes stay closed. Either way, know that your neurons are still whispering, still connecting, still remembering how to be within time without racing through it. And if you forget this later, don't worry. Your mind already knew before you heard a single word. You followed the blink. You followed the breath. You followed the silent signal of a neuron lighting up in the dark. Now, follow the beat. That quiet thump you may only notice when everything else has gone still. It's not loud, not impatient. It does not demand attention. It just continues. And in its continuation, there is something precious. Not the beat itself, but what lies between. Place your hand gently over your chest, if you feel like it, or simply imagine your heart, curled inside you like a sleeping animal. Let your breath slow. You don't have to catch the beat. Just be aware that it's there. And now, instead of focusing on the thump, Focus on the space between them. That pause between one beat and the next, it's only a fraction of a second, a breath within a breath, and yet, within that pause, so much is held, so much becomes. The heart doesn't beat constantly, it rests, it gathers, it remembers what it's doing, and why, and then, only then, does it move again. We tend to think of time as movement, as progress. Seconds counted in ticking clocks, in racing pulses, in doing. But maybe that's not the only way time lives. Maybe it lives in the pauses too. Maybe time doesn't just rush forward. Maybe it waits. Maybe it listens. Let your breath meet that space. As you inhale, feel the rise. As you exhale, feel the settling. But just before the next breath begins, there's a stillness. Hold it softly, without effort, just for a blink, and let it go. That stillness isn't empty, it's full. In medicine, there's a measurement called heart rate variability. It tracks the time between your heartbeats, not just how fast your heart beats, but how it fluctuates. And oddly enough, it turns out that the healthiest hearts don't beat like metronomes. They dance, they vary, they rest and adjust. They slow down when you exhale, speed up when you inhale. They move like you do with emotion, with rhythm, with change. Isn't that beautiful that the heart isn't supposed to be perfect? It's supposed to respond, to feel, to flex with the currents of your life. And the space between heartbeats, that's where the flex lives. That's where your body whispers, I'm still here. I'm listening. I can wait. You don't need to count your heartbeats now. You don't need to find the numbers. Just know that within every beat is a rest, and within every rest is the space where something soft unfolds. Some poets have said that love lives between heartbeats, not in the thumping, but in the silence, the held breath before a first kiss, the stillness after a goodbye, the quiet as you lie beside someone and say nothing at all. Those are the in-betweens, and time may feel deepest right there. Let your thoughts slow now. Let your chest rise with no effort. Let your inner rhythm unfurl like a ribbon. You don't need to follow the thread. You are the thread. You are the rhythm. In space, there are pulsars, rotating neutron stars that emit beams of energy like cosmic lighthouses. We detect them by their pulses, their regular flashes. But what we study isn't just the flash, it's the interval, the moment of darkness between bursts. That's where the precision is. That's where the meaning lives. The pause tells us more than the light. And maybe that's true for you too. Maybe the most meaningful parts of your life aren't the burst, but the spaces between them. The time no one saw. The days without a name. The blink between changes. The stillness between words. That's not lost time. It's hidden time. And hidden doesn't mean gone. It means waiting. It means resting. It means ready. So when you feel like time is slipping, when you blink and wonder where the second went, remember you didn't lose it. You lived it between heartbeats. Now let yourself drift. There's nothing to chase. The pulse will keep its rhythm whether you notice it or not. The universe is still turning, and in this moment you are turning with it. Not fast, not loud, just steadily, just quietly, with one beat and the pause after, and the soft, echoing hush in which all time learns how to breathe. There's a flicker now, but not in your eyes, not in your breath, not even in your thoughts. It's in the distance, in the edges of your imagination, a glimmer not quite seen, not quite remembered. The kind of shimmer you might notice behind your eyelids if you lie still for long enough. You're not dreaming, you're drifting into light. Close your eyes now. If they're not already, let them soften. Let your brow smooth. There's no need to picture anything clearly. Just let your inner vision glow like something ancient and travelling. You don't have to understand light tonight. You only need to feel its quiet persistence, its gentle brilliance, its silence across space. Somewhere in the heart of a star, light is born, not just any light, a photon, a tiny packet of energy, a spark of being, no mass, no size, just motion and glow. And when that photon is released, it begins a journey that could last billions of years, through gas, through vacuum, through gravity. It doesn't stop, it doesn't slow, it just moves. You blink, and to you, a moment has passed, but to the photon, no time has passed at all. None. Because from the perspective of light, distance collapses, duration disappears. From the photon's point of view, and yes, it's only a poetic one, its entire journey from star to your eye is instantaneous. The birth, the flight, the arrival, all one eternal now. Let your breath move with that feeling. Not fast, not slow, just endless, as if you were the photon floating through time but untouched by it. This is one of the most beautiful paradoxes in all of physics. Light moves at what we call the speed limit of the universe, and at that speed, our understanding of time falls apart. According to Einstein's theory of relativity, as you approach the speed of light, time for you slows down, completely, to a standstill. So for a photon always travelling at light speed, time doesn't stretch. It simply doesn't happen. You might wonder, how can anything exist without time? But maybe that's the wrong question. Maybe light is what happens when time steps aside. Maybe photons are little messengers from the timeless, little emissaries that travel not through time, but around it. They reach across the ages and touch you the moment your eyes open, the moment you blink, and in that instant, you are connected to the beginning. Breathe in slowly, as if you're inhaling light, not the kind that burns, but the kind that listens, the kind that carries stories, because every photon carries information, not just brightness, but colour, direction, temperature, origin. It holds the memory of its star, and when it touches you, your skin, your eye, your soul, you're not just seeing, you're receiving. Some of the light you see tonight began its journey before humans were here to witness it, before trees, before oceans, and yet it travels, still, relentlessly, to find you now in this moment, in this quiet, while you rest, while you breathe, while you listen for the hush between heartbeats. You might never notice the photon, it's too fast, too small, but when it lands on your retina, your neurons respond. A cascade begins, and light becomes vision, becomes colour, becomes the memory of a day, a face, a feeling, all from something that never knew what time was. Let your body grow even heavier now, as if you too are letting go of time, not escaping it, just no longer holding it. Because if photons can move without aging, without duration, then maybe you, for just this moment, can feel what they feel. Endlessness, stillness in motion, a journey that arrives as soon as it begins. It's worth noting, photons don't see, they don't think, they don't experience the world as you do. But what if the reason they feel so poetic is because they remind you of a part of yourself that lives outside the clock, a part of you that recognizes beauty without knowing how long it lasts, a part of you that already belongs to the timeless? Scientists still study photons with reverence, with confusion, with awe. Are they waves? Particles? Both they obey rules, but behave like riddles. They slip through narrow slits, bend around edges, and interfere with themselves as if dancing with a shadow of their own possibility. And yet they are predictable, reliable, constant. And that's the mystery, isn't it? That light can be so small, so fast, so strange, and yet so gentle, so vital, so present. You wouldn't see without it. You wouldn't grow. You wouldn't know how to name the difference between day and night. So when you blink and the light vanishes briefly, don't worry. It hasn't gone far. It's still around you, still on your skin, still bouncing softly from wall to wall. It doesn't mind waiting. After all, it doesn't keep time. It just keeps shining. Let that shine stay with you now. Let it hum beneath your thoughts. No need to hold on to it. Just let it pass through, like a photon, like a breath, like a blink, here, then gone, and never really gone at all. There is a moment you never see, but you live through it anyway. It happens when you turn your head, when your eyes dart to the side, when something catches your attention, and just like that, a flicker, a blink, a tiny slide of silence, a piece of time vanishes, but not with drama, not with noise. It vanishes with grace, as if it knew you wouldn't notice. Let your eyes soften now, even if they're already closed. You don't have to imagine anything. You don't have to follow every idea. Just let this next thought arrive like a feather, and if it floats away, let it. There is no rush. Inside your brain is a secret editor. It's always working, quietly, faithfully, trimming and stitching the fabric of your vision into something smooth. Every time you shift your gaze, your eyes make a saccade, a rapid movement so fast you couldn't track it even if you tried. During that motion you don't see, the brain cuts the feed, just for a moment, and then it restarts. You don't perceive the cut, because the editor behind your eyes knows how to cover it. It pulls in the edges, blurs the seam, fills in the gap, and what you experience feels continuous, unbroken, whole. But it isn't, and it never was. Let your breath flow with that thought, not in a straight line, but in a gentle loop, like the brain itself filling in what wasn't seen. You don't have to know every detail to feel the shape of the whole. In a single minute, your eyes may make hundreds of saccades, hundreds of tiny visual blinks, and each time your brain discards the image in motion. It chooses stability over accuracy, continuity over chaos. You never feel the flicker. You never see the cut. You only see the world as one fluid, living picture. Some scientists call this saccadic suppression, but it's not just vision that gets trimmed, it's time. A few hundred milliseconds here, a few dozen there. Tiny bits of the universe's unfolding simply never reach you, and yet you never miss them. Breathe again. Let your shoulders drop. Let your spine settle. You don't need to worry about the time you didn't experience. You've already lived exactly as much as you needed, and maybe the parts you never saw were never lost, just softened, just hidden, just unnecessary. This happens in other ways too. When you dream, you might experience hours in just a few seconds. or blink awake and feel like no time passed at all. Your perception of time is not precise. It's emotional. It's narrative. It's made not of measurements, but of meaning. And meaning, like vision, is stitched together from glimpses and guesses. There's a kind of grace in that. You don't need to see everything to understand it. You don't need to count every second to feel you've been present. You don't even need to hold on to the moment to be changed by it. Sometimes, just passing through is enough. Some researchers have wondered how much of life is edited, how much you never notice, how much your brain fills in, how much is illusion, and the answer, most of it. But that's not frightening, it's beautiful. Because even with missing frames, missing seconds, missing details, you still feel whole. The world still feels real. You still fall in love, still smile, still cry at sunsets you didn't see every inch of. So the next time you blink or glance away or feel like you missed something, remember you always miss something. And it doesn't matter, because you are not here to record every instant. You are here to be, to feel, to float, to flicker through time like the spark of a candle. Not constant, but warm. Let your breath lengthen. Let your thoughts dim. You don't need to track the thread. You are the thread. The story continues even in the parts you don't see. And perhaps those are the moments when time whispers, "You don't need to notice me. I'll carry you anyway." So rest. Don't worry about the seconds that slipped. They didn't fall away. They just folded back into silence. The same silence that holds you now, softly, completely. As if time itself closed its eyes for a blink, and when it opened them, you were already safe. You are floating now in the spaces between thoughts, not lost, just drifting gently in the soft illusion that everything around you moves in one continuous line. But is that true? Does time really flow like a ribbon, unfolding neatly, moment by moment, or is it stitched together like a dream, gliding past gaps so subtle you never even knew they were there? Take a breath. Let it feel like silk through your chest, not hurried, not heavy, just enough. Let your mind rest now. You don't need to keep up. You're not chasing time, you're lying beside it. In your waking life, your brain performs a miracle every second. It creates a feeling that the world is whole, that time is stable, that what you just experienced was real and smooth and true. But the truth, it's always stitching, always smoothing, always guessing. Even the present moment isn't as present as you think. When you hear a sound, your brain takes a little extra time to process it, just a tiny delay, so small you don't notice. But it means that what you experience as now is actually a little bit later than now. Let that idea rest with you, like a quiet tide lapping at the edge of your awareness. You don't have to hold it, just let it be there, softly, beside you. In neuroscience, this smoothing process has a name: postdictive perception. It means your brain doesn't just react to what just happened, it also uses what comes next to reshape the moment that passed. It's as if the brain writes time like a sentence, always reaching back to edit the last word as it types the next one. So when you blink, or look away, or pause between thoughts, your mind fills in the missing seconds with something smooth, something that fits, even if it isn't quite accurate, even if it didn't really happen. Because accuracy isn't the goal, continuity is. You see, the brain prefers a world that feels intact, even if it isn't. And so it hides the seams, it erases the gaps, it whispers a story you can follow. Not because it's real, but because it's kind. Because you'd rather feel like time is gentle than be reminded that it flickers. Let your breath follow that rhythm, not in steps, but in gliding waves. Each inhale a soft unfolding, each exhale a quiet concealment of what came before, not erased, just blurred. Think of a dream. You don't always remember how it started, or how you moved from place to place. Do you just appear? And you know it makes sense, even if it doesn't. That's how waking life works too, in tiny ways. You don't notice the beginning of a thought. You don't track every second between words, but the story continues, you float, and that, somehow, is enough. Physicists have long debated whether time is continuous or discrete. Is it a smooth river or a flickering film reel? Some theories suggest that time might come in tiny, indivisible bits, like pixels, so small we can't yet measure them. But even if time is pixelated, your brain blurs the image, smooths it over, tells you the picture is whole, and you believe it. Because you need to. Because continuity is the lullaby your neurons sing. Let your eyes stay soft. Let your thoughts blur at the edges. You don't have to follow every line. Just be part of the image, even if it flickers, even if you never see what's hidden between the frames. Some scientists still wonder how consciousness works in this stitched world, how you can feel so present in something so incomplete. They don't know the answer, but they do know this. The mind is a master of gentle illusion. It hides time's rough edges for your comfort, not to deceive but to soothe. So when you blink, when you pause, when the world feels strangely smooth, that's not an accident. It's not a lie. It's a kindness. It's your brain taking your hand, smoothing the blanket and saying, it's okay. You don't need to see it all. You only need to feel that it's still here. And it is. Time doesn't vanish. It just steps behind the curtain now and then, to rearrange the stage, to let the next scene begin without a jolt. And you. You're the dreamer walking between scenes, never quite waking, never quite lost, always drifting through a show that feels whole because your heart believes it is. So rest now. Let the curtain close for a blink. The scene will be waiting when your eyes open again. You don't need to remember what happened in between. Your mind already knows how to make it seamless. There's no light here. Not really. Only echoes of it. Bent, stretched, lost, curved into silence by something you can't see but somehow still feel. This isn't space as you've known it. It's quieter, heavier, as if gravity itself has begun to whisper not to your body, but to time, and time is listening. Breathe gently now. Let the breath fall in, as if it's being pulled towards something vast, towards something ancient. You don't need to understand where you are, just drift. The universe will hold you. You are safe, even here. You're falling, not with fear, not with motion, even, just falling in thought, in gravity's soft hum, toward a black hole, one of the strangest places in all of physics, a place where the rules you've come to trust about time and space and causality begin to stretch, begin to melt. As you approach the black hole's edge, you see it not directly, but as the absence of everything else, a shadow so perfect that even light cannot leave it. This is the event horizon, the point of no return, the blink from which nothing reopens, not light, not sound, not even time. Let your breath settle. You don't have to follow the edges anymore. There are no sharp lines here, only curves, only soft spirals of silence. What happens as you fall toward a black hole to you? Not much, at least not at first. You move as you always do. Seconds tick, heart beats, but to an observer far away, to someone watching you fall, everything changes. They see you slow down, stretched, frozen, as if you're caught in one long blink that never ends. And in a way, you are, because time itself slows near a black hole. It bends under the weight of gravity. This is one of Einstein's greatest discoveries, that time is not constant, that it flows faster or slower depending on how close you are to massive objects. And black holes are the most massive of all. Close your eyes now, if they're not already. Let them drift like matter around a singularity. You are not falling, you are flowing, and time is flowing with you, but not forward, not backward, just differently. At the edge of a black hole, the pull becomes infinite, and at that boundary the event horizon light cannot escape, and time slows to a near stop. From the outside, it looks as though you never cross. You hover, you freeze, and that single moment, your last blink before the fall, stretches into eternity. But from your perspective, time feels normal. You fall, you breathe, you blink, and then, well, no one knows. What happens after you cross the horizon remains a mystery. Even now, no one is sure. Let that mystery hold you. Don't try to solve it. Just float beside it. Not every question needs an answer. Some are here to cradle wonder, not to end it. Inside the black hole is a singularity, a point of infinite density, infinite gravity, infinite unknown. And as you approach it, our understanding of time breaks down. Time and space begin to swap roles. The future becomes a place. The past becomes unreachable. And your final moment may become the only moment, held forever in gravitational pause. It's possible that black holes store time, not like a watch, but like a vault. Some physicists believe that information is never destroyed, even in black holes, that what falls in is encoded somehow in the ripples on the surface, preserved in ways we don't yet comprehend. If that's true, then maybe your blink doesn't vanish. Maybe it's stored, etched in gravity, held in the fold. Breathe again, not deeper, just longer, as if even your breath has begun to curve around a different center. You don't have to follow it anywhere. Just feel its weight. Even light has weight here, even time. Some say that at the center of every galaxy is a black hole, and if that's true, then perhaps at the heart of everything is a place where time rests, where time waits. And what is a blink, if not a brief surrender to that, a moment when the world closes its eyes and does not open until it's ready? So the next time you blink and you feel like nothing changed, remember this. In another part of the universe, time may be stretching, slowing, holding its breath, and your tiny pause might echo that grand stillness. Let your thoughts soften now. Let the edges of meaning blur. The horizon isn't far, but you don't need to cross it. You've already seen what lies at its edge. Not fear, not ending, but time, folded into shadow, and a blink that lasts as long as you need. You reach for it, softly, without urgency, not with your hands, but with your mind, with something even quieter than thought. You reach for now, but the moment you feel you have it, the moment you try to say, "This is it," it's already moved on. Not rudely, not loudly, just gently gone. Take a slow breath here, not to hold anything, not to keep the moment from slipping, just to witness it. The breath comes, the breath goes, and so does now. The present is strange, isn't it? It feels like the only thing that's real, and yet it's the only thing you can never quite hold. The past has memory, the future has possibility, but now has only passing. It's the razor-thin edge where everything happens, and yet you never really stand on it. You hover just behind it, or just ahead. You follow it like a shadow. Scientists and philosophers alike have struggled with this idea. Some call it the specious present, the short duration of time your mind holds as now. It isn't a point, it's a small stretch, a window, just long enough for you to feel continuity, to feel the hum of being. But even that is a construction. Your brain gathers a few moments, wraps them in silk, and whispers, "This is the present." Let that settle for a moment. You don't need to fix it. Just feel the quiet honesty in it. You don't live in a dot. You live in a shimmer. There are theories in physics that question whether the present even exists at all. In Einstein's view of space-time, past, present, and future are all part of the same four-dimensional block. Every event, your birth, your next breath, your last blink, already exists somewhere in that block. And what you call now is just the spot your consciousness happens to be visiting. Like a lantern moving through a still city at night. The light changes, but the city was always there. Take another breath. Let it pass through you like that light, illuminating only what's in reach, but knowing there's always more just outside the glow. In quantum mechanics, things get even stranger. Particles exist in multiple states until observed, until now is invoked. It's the act of witnessing that collapses the uncertainty into certainty. But what if the moment you witness is already gone? What if now is just the wake of your attention? A ripple where a pebble touched the surface but you never saw it fall. And yet, you do feel the present. You feel it in the warmth of your skin, in the rhythm of your speech, in the soft tangle of your memories. So maybe it doesn't matter if the true now can't be found. Maybe what matters is that you experience it, even if imperfect, even if late, even if it's always slightly behind itself. You don't need to catch the moment. Just be with it. Like standing beside a river you don't need to step into. Just listen to it pass. That's what the present is, a passing you can feel without needing to hold. Some mystics and poets say the present is the only thing that truly exists, that the past is memory, the future, imagination, and that now is the doorway to everything real. But even they sit quietly with the knowledge that the doorway never stops moving. You don't step through it. It moves through you. So where are its edges? When does now begin? When does it end? No one can say, because time doesn't wear seams. It's stitched with breath, with sleep, with blinking, and sometimes those seams are so soft you don't notice them until they've passed. Let your breath become one of those seams. In, out. The moment comes and goes, and in between a shimmer, not a clock tick, not a number, just feeling, just presence without boundary. If you try to find now, you'll miss it. But if you listen gently, if you allow it, it will wrap around you like dusk. You won't be able to say when it arrived, or when it faded, but you'll feel that you were held. And maybe that's enough. To not define the present, to not catch it, but to trust that you are always just inside it, that every thought, every blink, every step happens within its arms. So rest now. Don't try to hold still. Let time move. Let it shimmer. The edge of now isn't a line, it's a tide, and you are floating right where it meets the shore. You're standing on something ancient, even if you're lying down now, wrapped in stillness. You're resting upon a world that has been turning long before you arrived. Beneath you, beneath your bed, your room, your town, there are layers of rock that once were oceans and rivers and dust from stars that exploded before the earth even had a name. And in that long, slow unfolding, your life, your days, your blinks are a flicker, a soft punctuation in a sentence that's been written for billions of years. Let your breath stretch just a little longer. Let it be slow enough to feel heavy, like stone, like sediment. You don't have to carry time. It's carrying you, and it's carried many lives before yours. The Earth is about 4.5 billion years old. That number's hard to hold in your mind. It's not just old, it's timeless in comparison to you. If you compressed the planet's history into a single year, humans wouldn't appear until December 31st, just before midnight, and your life, maybe the last second before the new year begins. Every blink you've ever made, millions of them all lived inside that single second. And yet, does that make your time less meaningful or more miraculous? Because even in the tiniest slice of time, you are here, breathing, thinking, listening, wondering about time itself. A conscious moment inside an unconscious world. Close your eyes now and imagine the Earth not as a globe, but as a memory, a living memory of everything it has witnessed, the rise and fall of continents, the turning of forests into stone, the shifting of mountains as if in slow sleep, and you, blinking gently in the dark, are part of that memory too. Somewhere deep in the earth, below the crust, time moves even slower, not in years, but in mineral drifts, in magma pulses. There are diamonds forming right now that won't reach the surface for millions of years. There are fossils beneath your feet that once blinked in sunlight you will never see. And the earth holds it all without hurry, without forgetting. Breathe again. Let the inhale feel older than you. Let the exhale belong to everything that came before. This breath was not the first, and it will not be the last. It joins the cycle carbon and oxygen, sunlight and shadow, time, moving through lungs instead of clocks. Geologists speak of deep time, not the time of days or centuries, but the time of continents and planetary shifts. It's a time so slow, it feels like no time at all, but it's real, and it surrounds you. The mountains remember it, the ocean floors whisper it, and in your cells, in your bones, is the echo of that slowness. You're not separate from the earth. You're its blinking moment, its brief awareness, its eyes opening, just for a second, to look back at itself. They say every 7 years, nearly every cell in your body has been replaced. And those atoms, those molecules come from Earth, too. From soil, from rain, from plants that grew from minerals older than human language. So when you blink, you're blinking with the Earth's eyes. And when you rest, you're resting where time once stood still for centuries. Let yourself feel small, not in fear, but in awe. Small enough to belong, small enough to be held by something this vast, because the earth doesn't ask for anything from you. It doesn't rush you. It doesn't measure you. It simply turns and offers you this moment. Somewhere, beneath layers of stone, there is a ripple from an ancient sea, a wave that left its shape in clay, and today someone might dig it up a fossil, a shell, a whisper, a blink preserved in stone, and maybe that's what you are too. Not a flash, not a flame, but a shimmer that left its impression, even if only in someone's breath, even if only in this quiet now. So rest. Let the weight of time fall away from your shoulders. You don't need to live for centuries to matter. You only need to be present for a moment to make a mark in the life of the world. Blink again, if you'd like, and let that blink be part of Earth's long memory, a tiny shadow in its gentle turning, soft, brief, and entirely enough. You look up, as people have always done, not in search of answers, not tonight, but in quiet recognition of something familiar. The moon is there, not bright, not loud, just present, and something in you responds without words, as if your bones remember what your mind has forgotten, that this light has been with you since long before you knew how to speak. Let your breath rise with that moonlight. Let it fall, like a tide returning to sand. You don't have to see the moon tonight. You don't even need a window. It's enough to know it's still circling, still glowing, still moving in slow rhythm with the earth and with you. The moon blinks, not like you, not in moments, but in movements, in phases, in tides, in shadow and shine. Every month, it turns just slightly, not enough to show us anything new, but enough to pull at the ocean as if it were breathing. You blink in tenths of a second. The moon blinks in weeks, and yet both are rhythms, both are pauses, both are cycles that don't ask to be noticed to matter. The moon keeps one face always turned toward us, a cosmic dance called tidal locking. It rotates at the same rate that it orbits, which means we never see its other side from Earth. Half of the moon is always hidden, a silence just out of reach, like a part of yourself you can sense but never quite name. Breathe gently now, as if the breath itself is guided by the moon's gravity. It may be far away 250,000 miles, but its pull touches every wave, every shore, every still lake that reflects your sleeping face. The moon controls the tides, not with magic, but with presence. Its gravity pulls on water, draws it close, lets it go. Twice a day, oceans rise and fall, not because the moon commands it, but because the earth listens, and your body, made mostly of water, listens too. Some ancient traditions say that our emotions are like the tide, that the moon pulls on our feelings just as it does the sea. Maybe that's why some nights feel heavier, some dreams deeper. Maybe the moon blinks through us as well. And just like you, the moon reflects light it does not produce. It glows only because the sun touches it. And yet, when we see the moon, we rarely think of the sun. We just see what is here, what is soft, what is watching us without asking for anything in return. Close your eyes now and picture that slow blink, the new moon dark, unseen, then a sliver, then a crescent, then fullness, then fading again. Each phase a breath, each phase a reminder that time can pass without rushing, that presence can change without breaking. There is no start and no end to the lunar cycle. It simply continues, like your own rhythms, your habits, your quiet transformations that no one else may notice. But they happen, and they matter, just as the moon matters, even when hidden. Some scientists have wondered what Earth would be like without the moon. There would still be oceans, still be stars, still be night. But the tides would be weaker, the Earth's axis would wobble, seasons might unravel. The moon doesn't just decorate the sky, it holds us steady. It slows our spin, shapes our days, cradles the Earth like a silent companion we've always counted on, even without knowing how. Breathe again. Let that stability hold you. Let yourself feel that something is always there, always circling, always reflecting, even when you forget to look. The moon has no light of its own, and yet it shines. And you shine too. Even if the light isn't yours, even if you're only reflecting something you once received, that doesn't make it less beautiful. That doesn't make it less yours. So the next time you blink and the moment slips, know that something is still turning above you, and just as your eyelids close and open, so does the moon, not in seconds, but in phases, in quiet returns. And maybe that's all you need tonight, to know that time can move without noise, that presence can change without vanishing, and that even the most distant companion can blink with you in slow, silver rhythm. Let your thoughts go now. Let them float with the moon as it rises somewhere beyond your roof. You don't need to see it. It sees you, always has, and always will. It's quiet now, not because nothing is happening, but because something delicate is unfolding just beneath the surface. You're floating not through space, but through the background of space, the fabric beneath the stars, the hush between atoms. And in that stillness, there's a question. Soft as breath, does the universe ever pause? Take a moment to settle. Let your breath match the hush. You don't need to look for anything here. This part of the journey isn't about answers. It's about noticing what lies between the pulses. In the realm of the very small, nothing behaves quite as you'd expect. Particles flicker in and out of existence. Paths interfere with themselves, and nothing is ever fully certain until it's watched. This is the world of quantum mechanics, not chaos, not disorder. Just a deeper kind of rhythm, one made of flickers, of almosts, of maybes. The universe, it seems, is not smooth. It's granular, like a film reel made of endless tiny frames. When we see a movie, we don't notice the spaces between each still image. The flicker is too fast, the illusion is too seamless, but it's there. And some scientists wonder if the universe itself might be the same. Let your breath settle into that thought. You don't need to prove it, just float in the possibility. That time itself might be pixelated, that between each second, there is not more time but absence, a blink, a pause, a place where the universe catches its breath. In quantum field theory, there's a concept called vacuum fluctuations. Even in empty space with no particles, no light, no sound, there is still movement. Particles appear for a blink of a moment and disappear again. Not because something pushed them, not because they had a reason, just because the universe is never completely still. It hums, even in silence. It blinks, even in darkness. Some call this the 0-point field, the lowest possible energy that space can have. It's not zero, it's never zero, because even nothing still shivers, still remembers how to become something. So maybe when you blink, you're echoing something deeper, not just in your biology or your brain, but in the very structure of reality. Maybe the universe blinks too. Maybe it steps aside for a moment, lets everything dissolve, and then, frame by frame, rebuilds it all again. You don't need to see the rebuilding. You're already inside it. Your hands, your thoughts, your memories, all made of particles that don't stay still, that don't even exist in the way you expect. They shimmer, they fluctuate, they wait to be seen, and when they are, they decide what to be. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw soften. You don't need to be certain to be real. You don't need to understand to be part of this rhythm. Just breathe. You're already one of the frames. You're already part of the pattern that flickers too fast to follow. Some physicists think that reality isn't continuous at all. That time may come in quantum packets, smallest possible pieces that can't be divided. If that's true, then between those pieces is a kind of nothing, but not an emptiness, more like a rest, a silence in the music of becoming. Imagine that now, that each second you live isn't a smooth river, but a string of pearls' tiny moments, each complete, each vanishing before the next appears. You never see the string, only the shimmer, only the gleam of what comes next. And what about your thoughts? They too come in flashes, in frames, in bursts of awareness. You may believe you're thinking continuously, but in truth, you arrive and vanish again and again, like the quantum particles beneath your skin. This isn't frightening, it's freeing. You don't have to hold the whole moment. You only need to hold one flicker, the now that appears before you, the breath you're taking now, the blink you just released. So what happens in the gap between frames? No one knows. Maybe that's where dreams live. Maybe that's where possibility rests. Maybe that's where the universe lets go and begins again, over and over, and so do you. Let that be enough. Let yourself blink and feel no loss. Let yourself pause and sense no absence. Because even when nothing seems to be happening, something always is. Even when you don't see it, even when you don't know how. The universe may be flickering in and out of itself, and you are flickering too, not disappearing, just becoming. A little more with each gentle interruption. You're not moving anymore, not through space, not through stars, not through particles or oceans. You're drifting inward now into the soft chamber where your memories rest, not filed, not ordered, but floating, like dust in a sunbeam, turning slowly, gently, in patterns no calendar could ever name. Let your breath be light now, not shallow, just soft, like a page turning by itself. There's nothing to hold here, just presence, just permission to remember without needing to be right. When you think of your past, does it arrive in sequence, one event after another, one day at a time? Or does it come in bursts, in flashes, in feelings that walk in late spring? The smell of tea in your childhood kitchen, the way the light bent on the floor of a train you once took alone. Time, in memory, isn't time at all. It's texture, it's warmth, it's music playing in the distance without lyrics. There's a mystery here, a beautiful one. Neuroscience tells us that memory doesn't store time. Your brain holds the content of an event, but the timing, the sequence, the when that's reconstructed, guessed, pieced together each time you recall it. Let that settle for a moment. You don't need to memorize it. Just breathe into the truth that memory is fluid. It's not a recording. It's a dream your brain tells again and again, and with each retelling, something changes. Not deceitfully, not carelessly, just naturally, like a river bending with the land it loves. Every time you remember something, your neurons fire anew. They trace old paths, but never quite the same. The act of remembering is also an act of rewriting, which means the past isn't behind you, it's with you, living, shifting, not fixed in stone, but breathing in thought. So when you blink and a moment passes, your brain decides what to keep, what to forget, what to file as if it happened just this way. And maybe it didn't. Maybe that smile you remember was one beat earlier. Maybe the light was different, but the feeling, the meaning, that's what endures. Memory isn't about accuracy. It's about connection. It's your mind's way of anchoring the present to something soft, something real, even if it's only real inside you. Some psychologists describe temporal compression, the way your brain compresses time in memory. 2 years might feel like one, a week might stretch like a lifetime. It depends not on the clock, but on the depth of your experience. Moments of routine fade together. Moments of meaning shine alone. Time, in memory, isn't measured by hours. It's measured by emotion, by the way your heart felt when the world paused for just a second. Let your shoulders soften. You don't need to collect every moment. You're allowed to forget, because forgetting isn't failure. It's your mind making space for new light, new patterns, new breath. Have you ever blinked and forgotten what you were doing, lost a thought, misplaced a minute that was memory deciding it didn't need to hold everything? Just the essence, just the part that helps you feel. And sometimes we remember what never happened, or forget what truly did. We edit, we invent, we dream forward into the past. But again, this isn't a flaw, it's a feature. It's how the self carries itself forward. Think of an old photograph. You remember the moment differently now. Maybe you weren't as happy as your smile suggests. Maybe the light was cooler. But now looking back, the memory is kinder, because you've grown, because time has softened the angles, and your brain lets you keep the gentler version. So don't be afraid when time disappears, when a day blurs, when a year feels missing. It wasn't lost, it was folded into who you've become. Some scientists believe that memory evolved not to preserve the past, but to simulate the future, to help you imagine what could be, to use the story to make the next choice, which means your memories aren't just shadows, they're seeds, and in each blink of forgetting, your mind clears space for new growth. Let your breath meet that idea. Exhale slowly, like a page being turned by wind. You don't need to remember every word. The story will still find its shape, and you will still belong in it. So tonight, when you blink, when you forget what I just said, that's okay. That's how your brain makes room for rest, for dreams, for stillness. Because memory isn't a shelf, it's a garden. And the blink is when the gardener pauses not to pick a flower, but to admire what's growing in the silence. The moment you look, something shifts. You don't move your hand, you don't speak, you don't even blink, and yet the world feels a little more awake when you pay attention. It's subtle, like a change in light, or the soft hush of a room that knows you've entered it, and it raises the gentlest of questions. Does the world notice when you notice it? Breathe in slowly, now, not to chase the thought, just to hold it gently like water in your palms. You don't need answers here. You only need to be aware of your awareness, and how strange and beautiful that is. In quantum physics, there's a mystery called the observer effect. When we observe a particle, truly measure it, we change it, its path, its state, its behavior, as if the act of watching causes the universe to choose, not in some mystical way, but in the mechanics of measurement itself. A wave becomes a particle, and maybe becomes a moment. Reality becomes real when it is witnessed. Let that idea breathe with you. Let it sit beside your quiet exhale. You don't need to untangle it. You are already part of it. You are both the watcher and the watched. In a famous experiment, the double-slit experiment particles behave differently depending on whether we're observing them. When unobserved, they travel like waves, multiple possibilities, all paths at once. But when we observe them, they pick one path, one line, one version of reality. It's as if the universe refuses to commit until we ask it to. And maybe you're like that too. Maybe the moment you notice yourself, your thoughts, your breath, your blinking, you shift. Not because you were wrong before, but because now you are present, and presence changes things. Think of the last time you realized you were dreaming. That sudden spark of awareness, the dream didn't end, but it changed. You were both inside the moment and slightly outside it, a witness and a character. And that awareness brought clarity, a softness, a shimmer, just like now. Some philosophers wonder if reality exists without consciousness to observe it. If a tree falls in a forest, you know the rest. But maybe the deeper question is, if you blink and no one sees you, did the world continue the same, or did it wait? Did it shift? Did it hold its breath just for a moment until your gaze returned? Let your own awareness blink now. Let it close its eyes, not in sleep, but in trust. The world will still be here when you open them again, but maybe it will feel different. Maybe you will feel different. Not because the world changed, but because you did. This is not a trick, not a glitch. It's a feature of your aliveness. To observe is to participate. To pay attention is to shape, not control, not command, but influence. Like water changes the color of light. There's a theory in neuroscience that attention rewires the brain, that what you notice builds itself stronger, faster, that the very act of witnessing sculpts your inner world. And so, maybe your awareness is the artist, and your reality a canvas made soft by blinking. Have you ever watched a candle flame so long that it seemed to shift its shape just to meet your gaze? Have you ever looked at the stars and felt them looking back? Have you ever opened your eyes after a moment of stillness and felt the world recognize you? That's awareness. And maybe it's the same thing as being alive. Breathe again, not to prove anything, not to learn, just to notice what it feels like to be here. And in that noticing, know this: you're not separate from the moment. You are the moment being aware of itself. So when you blink and open your eye again, it's not just your vision returning, it's the world realigning around you, picking a path, choosing a shape, because now you are watching, and that matters. Some mysteries remain. Does the moon change because we gaze at it? Do thoughts behave differently because we try to understand them? Does time itself move differently when we pay attention? No one knows. And maybe that's the beauty. So let yourself blink now. Let yourself pause. Let the universe choose its shape around you, gently, lovingly, as if your awareness is the light it's been waiting for. You're walking, but not forward, not backward, either. You're walking in a circle, or a spiral, or a shape without a name, because time, at least in your hands, no longer moves in straight lines. It pulses, it swings, it curves like a melody returning to its refrain. And you begin to wonder, what if time was never meant to be linear? What if it was meant to be felt? Take a breath. Let it rise and fall like a wave that doesn't ask where it's going. It simply exists, and that's enough. You don't need to track the hours tonight. Only the rhythm, only the tone. You've been told time is a line, from past to present to future, a road, a path. But when you think of your life, is that how it feels? Does memory unfold in neat sequence, or does it return unexpectedly, a scent, a sound, a name, and suddenly you are not here, but then not older but also younger? Time doesn't ask your permission to loop, it simply does, and your body remembers how a certain song brings you back, how a photograph slows your breath, how the way someone said your name 5 years ago can still echo in your chest as if it was this morning. Somewhere inside you, time folds. It curls softly around itself, like a cat finding sleep, like a string pulled into a knot you never meant to tie. And that's not disorder. It's the true shape of memory, of experience, of being. There are cultures ancient and living that never saw time as a forward march. They saw it as a circle, a cycle, a returning, sunrise, sunset, seasons, stories retold at every fire, not progress, but presence. Breathe slowly now, let your breath be round, let it come back to where it began. Not because you're stuck, but because you're arriving again and again in different ways. Even in physics, not all time points forward. In certain equations, time can run in either direction. In the quantum world, particles behave as if their future affects their past, not commonly, not simply, but sometimes. And that sometimes is enough to wonder, what if you've already arrived at moments you haven't yet lived? What if part of you is remembering what hasn't happened? It sounds impossible, but so does dreaming, so does music, and yet you've done both. Think of a song. Does it move forward? Yes, but it returns. Themes reappear, notes echo, melodies remind you where you've been. Music isn't a straight line. It's a spiral staircase, and your emotions are the ones climbing it. That's what time feels like too. Not a rule, a rhythm. Your heart doesn't beat in straight lines. It beats in measures, in variations. It changes when you rest, when you cry, when you remember. Your breath slows not with age, but with awe. Time, too, slows when you feel deeply. A moment of beauty can stretch like an afternoon. A goodbye can last for years. And sometimes, time doesn't move at all. When you're in love, when you're grieving, when you're staring out the window without needing to arrive anywhere, that's not stillness. That's time forgetting its job so you can remember yours to feel. Take another breath now. Let it roll back into itself. Let it echo. You don't need to know what's next. Time doesn't always know either. They say déjà vu might be your brain glitching, a short circuit, a repeat. But maybe it's not a mistake. Maybe it's a memory folding back to say hello. A gentle reminder that you've stood here before in some way, in some dream, in some flicker of the eternal now. Some physicists think that time's arrow, this sense that it only moves forward, exists because of entropy, the tendency of things to move from order to disorder. But maybe there's also a spiral, a flow that isn't about decay but about return, like seeds falling back into the earth, like stars collapsing and being born again. So what if your blinks are more than moments? What if each blink is a doorway to a loop, to a return, to a gentle pause where time repositions itself quietly, and lets you step forward or backward or both. You don't need to decide, you don't need to map it, just float. Time is not a ladder, it's a river. And sometimes rivers circle before moving on. So tonight, if you feel you've been here before, maybe you have, not as a mistake, but as a rhythm coming home. There is a silence now, but it is not empty. It's not the silence of absence, of forgetting, or of loneliness. It's the silence that lives between sounds, between thoughts, between everything you thought you needed to keep moving. You're inside that silence, and it is not waiting for you to speak. It is enough on its own. Let your next breath be slower, not because you need to relax, but because this moment wants more room to settle around you. You don't need to do anything now. You are allowed to pause. We are taught to value motion, to track progress, mark milestones, fill silence with action. But what if the pause is not the space between things? What if the pause is the thing? Think of music, the rest, the breath before the note. It's part of the music too. It's what gives the melody its shape, its rise, its meaning. Remove the silence, and the sound becomes noise. Now let your thoughts drift like a leaf in water, not toward anything, just suspended. You don't have to swim. You don't have to reach. Time, right now, is not passing you by. It is cradling you. Physicists often speak of events, happenings that take place at points in space and time. But even in the most complex equations, there are still gaps, moments between the moments. What if those gaps aren't emptiness? What if they're structure? What if the universe is made not just of particle, but of pauses? Consider this in language. We pause to breathe, to think, to let meaning settle. Even punctuation creates space, a comma, a period, a breath. Without it, words blur together. Understanding fades. Now imagine time punctuated that way. A universe of motion held together by tiny acts of stillness. Some scientists suggest that in the deepest laws of reality, time isn't continuous. That at the smallest scale, it may be quantized, occurring in tiny indivisible units with pauses in between, like the frames of a film or the ticks of a cosmic metronome. And if so, those pauses aren't mistakes. They are part of how the universe sings. Close your eyes, if they're not already, and listen, not for sound, but for that soft, steady pulse beneath everything, the pause that holds the next beat. When a dancer pauses mid-step, we hold our breath. When a loved one hesitates before speaking, we lean in. When the stars seem still, we feel as if the sky is breathing. Pauses don't end things, they make them possible. Even your brain works in rhythms. Neurons fire, then rest, then fire again. They need the space between sparks to recover, to learn, to be. Without the pause, thought would unravel. Without the pause, there would be no self to return to. Breathe again now. But this time, pay attention to the moment just after the exhale. That quiet pause before the next inhale begins. Feel how soft it is, how necessary. That is time not rushing. That is time allowing itself to rest. In Zen tradition, there's the idea of a sacred emptiness, a space full of presence, a pause that's not nothing, but everything, the space where meaning is born, where life finds its breath, where your mind finds its center again. So maybe time doesn't move like an arrow, maybe it blinks, Maybe it flows in waves with quiet between the crests, and maybe you do too. Your day is filled with pauses you never name, the moment you reach the end of a sentence, the hush before you fall asleep, the stillness after someone you love leaves the room. These are not absences, they are thresholds. They are frames in the slow, radiant movie of your life. So the next time you blink, the next time a moment slips by without anything happening, don't rush to fill it. Don't ask it to be something else. Just sit there, in the warmth of nothing particular, in the permission to be. You're not falling behind. You're simply resting between sparks. And in that space, the universe is still here, quietly waiting with you. There's a doorway that doesn't creak, a crossing that leaves no footprints. You pass through it almost every night, quietly, easily, so gently, in fact, that you rarely notice when you arrive on the other side. Sleep. Let your breath deepen now. Let it stretch like a long sigh at the end of a beautiful day. You don't need to fall asleep, but let yourself lean into that feeling of falling, not downward, but inward, like a feather circling into silence. When you sleep, you don't stop being. Your heart continues, your breath continues. Even your eyes, though closed, sometimes move as if watching an invisible world unfold. REM rapid eye movement, the phase of sleep where dreams bloom. In REM sleep, your brain is more active than when you're awake, but it's a different kind of activity. Not linear, not logical. It's storytelling without rules, time without order. The blink becomes the entire dream, the dream becomes the blink, and time, as you know it, softens into waves. Let your thoughts slow, like footsteps vanishing in fog. There's no need to chase anything now. Your sleeping mind will do the wandering for you. Have you ever dreamed for hours, only to wake and find you've been asleep for 5 minutes? Or felt a dream pass in a flash, only to see that a whole night has gone by? That's because the sleeping brain experiences time differently. It doesn't follow clocks. It follows feeling, intensity, emotion. One blink can hold 1,000 heartbeats. One exhale can span a whole imaginary city. And in those dreams, your body rests while your mind creates scenarios, symbols, reflections, and all of it held together by something slower than time, something that listens instead of measures. There are cycles to your sleep. About every 90 minutes, you pass through stages: light sleep, deep sleep, REM sleep, each cycle like a tide pulling in and out, each phase a different layer of letting go. But you don't feel them passing, you don't count them, because in sleep, you're no longer the timekeeper, you're the dreamer. Breathe in now as if you're entering that first doorway, not to escape the world, but to soften your shape within it. This is how time feels when it stops asking questions. Some scientists believe that sleep is when the brain processes memory, that it trims the day, file by file, tucking away what matters and discarding what doesn't. And yet some of your dreams have nothing to do with your day. Some are surreal, otherworldly, a garden in the sky, a conversation with someone you've never met. Why, no one knows for sure. One theory says dreams help your brain test ideas in the safety of unreality. Another says they're simply noise static from a resting system. But others suggest dreams may be the brain trying to practice being alive, trying to remember what it feels like to feel. And through all this, you blink, not with your eyelids, but with your mind. Micro-awakenings, they're called. tiny returns to awareness throughout the night. Most are so brief you don't remember them, but they are real, and each one is a soft reset, a moment where the dream pauses and the self glances around before drifting back into story. Let that comfort you. You're not fully gone in sleep. You are held, visited, gently, by the rhythm of waking and unwaking. And time doesn't mind. It flows around your dreams like water in a still cave, quiet, echoing, patient. In sleep, you do not measure time by hours. You measure it by depth, by whether you awaken rested or restless, by whether the dream lingers or evaporates. And often, you're unaware of how much time you've held in your sleeping hands. Let your thoughts settle now. Let them uncurl. You're not trying to remember. You're becoming the memory that the morning might keep, and even if it forgets you are still here. Some traditions believe that dreams are glimpses into other selves, other times, other threads of life you live without knowing. And if that's true, then each night you blink and step through a door, not just into unconsciousness, but into a different kind of time, a softer kind, where seconds stretch, where meanings shift, where the story never quite ends. So when you sleep tonight, when your eyes flutter beneath their closed lids, know that time is still moving, but not away from you. It's moving with you, cradling you in its quiet waves. And in those waves, you will blink again, and in that blink, a whole other world will open, and it will wait for you like it always has. There's a hush now, a moment so thin you could almost miss it, but it's there. It's the moment before you wake. The soft seam between two worlds, one where time spirals like mist, and one where time starts ticking again. You've been here before, every morning, every return, a gentle re-entry into gravity, into light, into thought. And yet have you ever really felt it? Let your breath settle now. Let it slow as if you're floating in warm water. Nothing to carry, nothing to reach for. This is the blink you don't remember, but your soul does. When you sleep, you vanish a little. Not from the world, but from the version of yourself that answers emails and ties shoes and checks the clock. That version dissolves like ink in water, and what remains is something simpler, a flicker, a presence, a breath. You are still you, but stripped down to something elemental, a ripple in awareness. And then, somewhere near the edge of dawn, it happens, a shift. The dream begins to crumble at the edges. Your body begins to stir, and you rise not just from sleep, but from timelessness. You begin again, not with a jolt, not with a clang, but with a soft pull, a return that feels like remembering. Let that idea rest in your chest. You don't begin when you wake. You return to the thread of time you left softly behind hours ago, and the universe, patient as ever, welcomes you back without keeping score. Sleep scientists call this moment hypnopompia, the transition from sleep to wakefulness. It's the mirror of hypnagogia, that drowsy fall into dreams. But while falling asleep feels like descent, waking feels like emergence, as if you are surfacing from a deep, gentle sea. During hypnopompia, you may still hear echoes of your dreams. You may not remember who you are for a beat or two. The clock is meaningless. The room is unfamiliar. And yet, you are safe, cradled in that pause, not quite awake, not still asleep, the in-between. Breathe softly now. Let that in-between space exist around you. There is no rush to cross it, no task waiting on the other side. Just this a moment before the moment. Sometimes when you wake, you open your eyes but your thoughts stay behind. You feel something lingering, the texture of a dream, the rhythm of sleep, a memory that doesn't belong to your waking life. That's not confusion. That's your soul realigning with time, fitting itself back into its frame. You blink, and the light of day enters your world again. But for a moment, that moment, you remember how it felt to float, to drift, to be free of the arrow of time, and that memory stays with you even if you forget it. Some philosophers believe that waking is not an on-off switch but a spectrum, that your consciousness returns in waves, layer by layer. You assemble yourself, piece by piece, word by word, and each blink is a stitch in that quiet repair. You might stretch, yawn, turn toward the window, and that first breath of morning, it is sacred. It is a greeting. It is the world saying, welcome back. You are never truly gone. Let your mind rest in that greeting. Let your eyes close even if they were open. You don't need to decide yet if you're waking or still within. Both are true. Both are real. Because the moment before waking is not the end of the dream. It is the part where dream and self hold hands for one last second. And in that second, the universe sees you again, not with demand, but with tenderness. So when you blink awake tomorrow, try not to rush. Try not to chase the clock. Just notice for even a few seconds how slow time can be when it chooses to be gentle. That blink between sleep and wakefulness is one of the softest things time ever gives you. It is the final gift before your thoughts start stacking again, before the calendar begins, before the world asks who you are today. And for that one moment, you are simply this, being carried back by silence, opened by light, and rebuilt by time as tenderly as a sunrise. You've wandered far tonight, through atoms and oceans, through neurons and moonlight, through sleeping thoughts and waking skies. And now you arrive here, not at an ending, but at a quiet, at the stillness that follows every blink, every breath, every wondering. This is not where time stops, it's where it lets go. Let your breath be gentle now. Let it slow like a tide returning to the shore it never left. You don't need to search anymore. You're already inside the moment you were looking for. They say the present is all we ever truly have. But we rarely stay in it. We reach forward, we glance backward, we blink and the present becomes just another thing that happened a second ago. But here, right now, you are allowed to stay. You are allowed to rest in the space between what was and what might be. Time will keep moving, it always does, but tonight you don't have to. You're not a clock, you're not a task, you're not a number on a screen. You're a rhythm that exists because the universe needed someone to notice its softness, to witness its slow shimmer without rushing it along. So lie back, let the bed hold you, let gravity become your lullaby. You don't need to keep up with the stars. They are turning quietly, whether you watch them or not. And time isn't leaving you behind. It's curling beside you, slowing down just enough to watch you sleep. Whatever you carried into this night, you can set it down now. Let the day dissolve like mist in morning light. There is no part of you that needs to be busy now, no memory that needs fixing, no future that needs solving. Just rest. Just be. The universe is vast. It holds galaxies, black holes, particles that flicker in and out of existence. But tonight, it also holds you, with the same care, the same awe. It holds you as you drift between thought and dream, between sleep and silence, and it does not rush you. It never has. You don't need to remember everything. You don't need to understand anything. All you need is this breath, this blink, this tiny, infinite now. It is enough. You are enough. So let go now. Let the thoughts dim. Let the hush settle across your chest, your limbs, your mind. The story is still here, but you don't need to follow it. It will carry you the rest of the way. Sleep, dear listener, sleep deeply, as if the stars themselves are closing their eyes beside you, as if time has paused its ticking to listen to your quiet breathing. Let this moment stretch. Let it hold you. No more questions. No more clocks. Just you curled in the stillness beyond the blink.